Previously on Lonely Roads. A bizarre scene. Two hikers found dead, bodies mauled, in an apparent bear attack, but the first sighting in over 20 years.
So, I have a goal here. I'm trying to scare these goths straight.
I am using the sight.
So, as you use your sight, you can see and feel the presence of angry spirit. As you're feeling this, the amount of malevolence and anger coming off of this far exceeds anything you've ever felt before.
I was just kind of peeking around and trying to stay out of the way.
But definitely the centerpiece is towards the back against a wall. There is what looks to be like a large iron cage. In front of the cage is a plaque. It is titled A Tortured Past. We're going to jump back to Jillian and Christopher because as you are heading back to the campsite as well, something interesting happens right as you are heading in at the edge of town. As you pass the ranger station, you kind of go to, you turn onto the main drag, and you can see that there are several cars pulled in the middle of the street, and there appears to be an enormous bear who is translucent and red, clawing at one of the doors. And so there's two cars kind of parked together, and people inside very clearly scared. And off to the side, kind of inside a diner, with a camera, there's a guy who's actually sitting there recording it. As you come across the scene, what do you two do?
I point at the big red translucent bear and say, "Ghost bear."
There is a camera. We need to do something about that camera before I can even start to address this ghost bear.
Quick, someone explode the camera with their brain.
If only we knew someone who could do... Oh, wait.
That's your cue, Christopher.
Yep, that's my cue.
So what are you doing?
I am going to run into the diner and stand behind the guy with the camera, looking over his shoulder, oh my god. And then I'm going to use my move, the big whammy, to use my powers to kick some ass and harm his camera.
So, kick some ass is more like when you're fighting a creature. I'd say rather than... It's not going to fight back, so this is probably more an act under pressure. And my other question in this is, Jillian, so I'm guessing you stop your bike. Christopher jumps off and runs towards the diner. What are you doing in this moment?
Well, my bike is going to be parked.
Okay, so we'll say just as we're trying to resolve this, you're parking your bike. So Christopher, as you run inside and throw open the door, and there's actually a bell which jingles, and the building is actually named Dina's Diner, and there's a woman in a pink dress with a kind of classical white apron on top of it, who's kind of standing by the window gaping, and next to her is kind of a reedy looking man. With kind of thick set glasses on. You can see that the camera he's holding looks really expensive. You get the impression that he probably does this maybe professionally. But go ahead and roll Act Under Pressure.
Oh, he's one of those Squatch hunters?
Or a reporter.
Yeah, like a professional journalist.
Act Under Pressure is a Q.
Yeah, I'd say because you are using magic, if you want, you can roll plus weird.
I'll just stick with the cool roll because it did well.
Okay. So, yeah, that is a 10. That is a success. You get what you want. So you use your magic to. What are you making it explode? Or are you just frying something?
Should fry the hard drive.
I want to make, since my powers are more mind oriented, I want to do something that like causes him to drop it, like a little static shot to his finger, and he goes ow and drops it, or tie his shoelaces so as he steps to get a better angle, he falls on it.
Okay, yeah, I think that's exactly what happens. He's enthralled with the scene that's unfolding, and you can see now that the bear has actually managed to rip off the door of one of the cars. Like he's in the act of doing that, and he leans forward trying to get a zoom in, focus the shot, and in that he actually loses his balance and tips forward. And as he tries to catch himself from hitting the ground, the camera falls out and hits the ground, and you can see that the lens itself snaps off.
Perfect.
So what would you like to do now?
That bear is clearly trying to get through that door, huh?
He has succeeded. You can see he's in the act of prying it off of the door, the hinge right now. Like the person inside is exposed. Like they're trying to undo their seatbelt and scramble against the opposite side.
What's the odds that there is something I can pick up to hit it with?
I mean, you are on a street, so I'd say that there's probably a pretty good chance it's probably like a brick or rock or maybe some kind of like ornamental lawn thing.
Everybody is inside the diner, and this is trying to get into a car or a house?
So you are on a street, and there's like kind of standard evening traffic going on. And there are cars that have stopped in the middle of the street as this thing has emerged from the woods and started attacking. So right now it is in the middle of getting into a car, which currently has 2 people inside of it. There are other people within cars, but they are very clearly like frozen in their fear.
Oh, well then I know exactly what I'm going to do.
Okay.
Instead of parking my motorcycle, I'm just going to flip down my my helmet so you can't actually see my fucking face, and I'm gonna try bike checking this bear ghost.
Okay. So you are presumably stopping. Christopher gets off, dashes into the diner.
Dashes into the diner. I hear the crash of the camera, and then rev my engine and fucking ram it. My goal is to hit it perpendicular to knock it away from the people who are in the car.
Okay, well, this is definitely a kick some ass move. And go. I think for you it's plus weird, right?
It is plus weird.
Go ahead and roll plus weird.
Them sick vampire reflexes.
My god.
So that is a 6. Go ahead and mark experience. So on a 6, you get your ass kicked. So as you rev up your bike, the bear immediately turns and looks at you, and as you drive straight into it, it rears up and it swipes you. And when it hits you, like you would expect, normally a bear would really hurt, but this thing has like an otherworldly force. It strikes you, knocking you clear from your bike, and you hit the ground rolling. I'm going to need you to go ahead and take 3 harm.
I take 1 less because I'm immortal.
Okay, yeah. So as it hits you, not only is there like a blunt impact, but its claws like kind of cut into you as you are flung from it and you hit the ground. But yeah, you'll take 1 less. Christopher, you see Jillian thrown from her bike and kind of careen across the ground. What are you doing?
I
got its attention.
First thing I'm doing is I'm pulling out my phone and calling Team Dad.
I love that you guys are Team Dad.
Go ahead and roll plus half your luck. We'll round up, so plus 4. You can just roll 2d6 plus 4.
We are the best team.
Sure. 2d6 plus 4.
So that's a 10, which is a success. The phone call goes through. Team Dad, which phone did you call?
Professor, Doctor.
Okay, Doctor, as you are exiting the museum and getting in the pickup, your phone starts ringing.
I answer it. Yes, this is Leopold Lloyd Easton. How may I help you? Get on with it, boy. I know it's you.
There's a Ghost Bear. Main Street,
Where?
Peanut Diner.
Excellent. To the diner.
Yeah, no, I floor it.
Okay, you begin tearing through town. It's a small town, as we've established, but it will take you a few minutes to get there. Jillian, you just got the shit kicked out of you. You begin picking yourself up off the ground. What would you like to do?
The goal is to lead this bear back into the woods. If I can get it to chase me into the woods, where I can actually let loose.
Okay, how do you intend to go about doing that?
Well, it clearly doesn't like me. Is its attention on me?
It's looking at you, and with you on the ground, it seems to not be deeming you a threat, and it's turning back to the meat that's closer at hand. It definitely knows you're there.
She picks herself up, dusts off her riding leathers, and goes, "Hey, Teddy Ruxpin! If I have to pick up a rock and throw a rock at it to get its attention, I will."
Yeah, I think that's probably a little more fitting. This thing is not probably going to respond well to you yelling at it. So I think this isn't like a kick to mass, because there's no chance that it's going to fight back. I think this is probably more an act under pressure. So go ahead and roll plus cool.
9.
Nice.
That's a 9. So on a 9, the keeper is going to give you a worse outcome, hard choice, or price to pay. Give me a moment. I want to think about this. Okay, so I think this is how it's going to work. You can throw the rock at the ghost bear and hit it and have it chase you into the woods. But if you do that, Christopher isn't going to come with you. You're going to be alone with this thing for a bit.
Yeah, I kind of figured.
This sounds a bit like the protect someone roll.
I don't know what that is.
I was looking at the basic moves, and prevent harm to another character, roll tough, and that actually worked out very similarly.
Yeah, that would be. I would say that would be more the case if Jillian was like going up and getting in its face to prevent it attacking. But if she's trying to taunt it,
I'm just saying for like mechanically, the effect you're going for is something similar.
Gotcha.
Not like redo the roll. Not at all that.
Gotcha. So Jillian, yeah, you huck this rock and immediately begin hightailing it towards the tree line. And this figure, this bright red glowing bear, turns and charges after you. Christopher, as you're watching this scene from the diner, you get a chance to look at this thing a little closer, and you can see that the bear itself, while it is glowing a bright red, there's actually something inside of it. It looks like a human, like a person, almost like curled up in a ball in the center of it. And you see it charge after Jillian. What would you like to do?
Shit!
I'm going to start pursuit.
Okay. I think as you exit the diner and begin running after the pair, you see a familiar beat-up pickup truck pull into sight. Leopold and Luther, you have arrived at the scene.
We have entered the fray.
What would you guys like to do? You can see that there is a in the distance, pretty far away, because that was the cost of the roll. Your Jillian has disappeared into the tree line. Christopher is closer, but running. and there are people in vehicles with doors ripped off.
Hey, Dad.
Yeah.
You're driving,
Bye,
so
Dad.
you get to pick where
Yeah.
we go.
I'll stop briefly. Leopold, help him out.
Gonna grab a gear bag and get out of the truck real quick.
Boy, am I driving my truck towards the forest.
Someone get my motorcycle!
Okay, so if I'm understanding this correct, Leopold, you are staying with the victims. Christopher and Luther, you guys are pursuing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's go to Jillian. Jillian, you are in the forest, not very far, probably maybe 100 or so feet, and this creature is closing in on you. If it breathed, you could feel its breath on your neck. You're winded at this point. Well, maybe not. You're a vampire. You definitely have exerted yourself and are feeling a little tired, and the bear is closing in on you. What do you do?
All right. Given that I only have so much hope, it's a ghost. Do I know anything that will hurt a ghost?
Do you think Jillian would?
I don't know. How long have we been running around doing this?
Not long enough.
Yeah, I mean it's not something. I mean, it's like in D&D, you could roll Arcana or something like that, but it's at this point, it's basically, would Jillian know? It's kind of up to you.
I don't know if this is gonna work or not, but there's plenty of trees, and I have unholy strength, and maybe it's time to play baseball with some supernaturals.
Okay, so you're
I'm going for a kick some ass.
so you're knocking down a tree and trying to hit it with it. Is that what I'm
I'm
understanding?
gonna break off a branch.
Okay, yeah, you pull down a branch. It cracks into your hand. Go ahead and roll plus weird. That is a 7. So on a 7 plus, you and whatever you're fighting inflict harm on each other. The amount of harm is based on the established dangers in the game. That usually means you inflict the harm rating of your weapon, and your enemy inflicts their attack's harm rating on you.
Call it a club.
Yeah, so let's. I don't even know
That's
how that would
fine.
work. Let's look it up. Weapons.
So that is a mundane weapon, I'm guessing.
Yeah, we'll say that it's sharp or heavy. So it's going to be 1 harm hand. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. So as this thing closes on you, you drop into almost like a batter's stance and swing into it, and it passes through the creature, but it definitely has some resistance. You get the sense that it hurt it a little bit, but as it gets close to you, it kind of rears up on 2 legs, and at this point you see the human figure inside, and it kind of uncurls, and an arm shoots out of the chest of the bear, and it grabs you, and you immediately feel cold seep into your body. You are going to take 2 harm. Ignore armor. So yeah, this normally your undead nature would have resistance to like physical attacks, but this goes beyond that. You can feel this is like freezing you from the inside
also
out.
says that I don't age or sicken, though.
That's okay. This kind of supersedes that.
It's draining your vitality out the way you would in somebody's blood.
Yeah, that is a good analogy. Okay, so as it's gripping you, we'll say Christopher and Luther enter the forest and see this happening, but I want to jump to Leopold. You just jumped out of the truck with a kit in hand. What are you doing?
I'm going to try to make sure people don't die. So if there's anybody who's like hurt or bleeding out or anything like that,
Yeah, that's teamwork.
I'm going to try to save some lives.
Sure. So you approach the vehicle and you see there is a middle-aged man inside, and he's actually holding his leg. There's a deep gash in it, and he's kind of hyperventilating. But certainly you can bandage his wounds. I think this is probably something you're proficient at this point. We don't need to roll for anything, but
All
certainly you can stabilize him. Is there anything else you're trying to do here?
I am actually going to use this as an opportunity, while I'm being benevolent and helpful, to investigate the mystery and get witness accounts.
I like it.
Like, tell me what happened. How did this happen to you?
Okay, go ahead and roll plus sharp.
Nice.
That's a 13.
Go ahead and hold 2. So what happened here? What can it do? What can hurt it? Where did it go? What was it going to do? What is being concealed here? Or what sort of creature is it?
Yeah, so I'm going to spend both holds for what can it do and what can hurt it.
Okay. So I will say, as far as what can it do, the man whom you're giving aid to, he calms down. You can see in the back seat of his car, there's actually a hunting rifle. He's kind of just blabbering. He's like, I wanted to fight that damn bear, but I didn't expect it to come into town. And he kind of stumbles for a moment. I mean, nothing stopped it. It reached through my door. It ran through a stop sign. It can't be real, can it?
Of course it's not real, young man. You're in shock.
And he kind of looks down to his bandaged leg. He says, but I saw it. I know a bear killed Kevin, but it was a bear, right?
That was just a bear, young man. You're just in shock. You didn't expect a bear that big. It must have been on steroids or something. It must have gotten into something in a garbage. Swelled it up to a massive size. Perhaps it's got some sort of parasitic infection. And I'm going to play the cover-up game on this.
Yeah. And
Nice.
go ahead and roll manipulate someone, so plus charm.
Okay.
So that is a 9. They'll do it, but only if you do something for them right now to show them you mean it. If you ask too much, they'll tell you what, if anything, would take for them to do it. I think that he kind of collects himself for a moment, and he looks at you and he says, "No, I don't think you're right. That has to be what killed my Kevin. There's no way that some ordinary creature could take down my boy."
Oh, that's no ordinary creature, sir, but you wouldn't want to say anything to get your Kevin looked at oddly, to get you looked at oddly, taken away from your family. And I'm going to kind of lean in of the don't get caught acting crazy, man.
He looks at you and kind of nods, and he says, I suppose you're right. I don't think getting put in a straitcoat's not going to help now. That makes sense.
Your Kevin wouldn't want that to happen to you. Remember, it was just a normal bear on drugs or something.
Right. Drugs.
That bear must have taken a whole lot of meth.
Yeah, I've heard about those meth bears. As far as what can hurt it,
The New England meth bears.
I don't know that there is anything in general in this scene that would indicate what can hurt it. Certainly, you know that for normal, like low-level spirits and poltergeists, certainly things like rock salt or cold iron can harm it. But seeing this thing in action, I think you would realize that it's going to take a step beyond that.
It's going to take some magic, maybe some big magic.
Yeah, I mean, I think as you're sitting here kind of thinking about it and collecting and putting together the scene, you would assume that either big magic could resolve it, or maybe, there was one case that you read about, probably weren't there firsthand as it wasn't your exact specialty. But you do know that typically if you are able to dispose or destroy remains, that will eliminate the ghost as well. So you think either, big magic or maybe finding and get rid of the room would do it.
I see you have been binging Supernatural. I mean, what?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yep.
Already.
Salt and burn the body.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. So Leopold, as you're wrapping up there, Luther and Christopher, you see that Jillian is currently being strangled by an arm that is a spectral arm that is coming out of a bear. you guys can pick who goes first, but what do you two do?
I'm going to take my chainsaw, give it the old dunkaroo in a bucket of holy water, and I'm gonna go to town on this motherfucker.
Do you typically carry holy water with you?
Typically I do because it is effective against vampires, which are my natural enemy, and I've just figured, if it works, apply directly to the forehead.
Okay, that makes sense. So you have dipped your chainsaw in holy water, and you're going to attack it. Is that what you said? Sorry.
I'm going to use the Protect Another on Jillian. Is that the move? Protect someone?
Yeah.
Protect someone. Yeah, so you can roll plus tough.
In combat. Never again! In combat, I may choose to protect someone without rolling, as if I had rolled a plus 10, but I may not choose to suffer little harm.
So you can choose all impending danger is now focused on you. You inflict harm on the enemy, or you hold the enemy back.
All impending danger is now focused on me.
Okay. Yeah. So, what are you doing to accomplish this?
I'm applying directly to the forehead.
Okay, so you're running up behind the figure, the big old bear, and chainsawing it, huh?
Yeah, I give it the old Reverino, and I'm like, here you go.
Okay, yeah, you start revving it, and you see that the figure inside of the bear actually turns to you and lets go of Jillian, and the bear drops down to all fours and begins lunging for you. Christopher, what do you do?
Psychic Ghost Punch.
Okay.
I am going to use the big whammy to use my powers to kick some ass.
Okay. That makes sense. So is this something that you do from afar, or do you have to get close?
It is a multi-range ability, about the same range as a pistol, close range.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to use this one, I have to inflict self-harm with my fancy dagger.
Okay.
And I do a nice little slice across my forearm, get some blood going, and then use that to power a Psychic Ghost Punch.
Sounds good. Go ahead and roll kick some ass. And do you actually take one harm from that? Or is it just flavor?
That's a flavor thing. If
you
want to cause harm, I can do that.
I mean, if it doesn't say to do that, I don't want to hurt you more than I have to. So
Gotcha.
Let's hold off.
All right, and I roll this with weird instead of tough. Sheboygan.
Nice.
Okay, that is a
That is
10
the best
plus.
roll you could possibly get.
So when you do this damage, you are each going to do harm to each other, but on a 10 plus, you choose one extra effect. You gain advantage, take +1 forward, or give +1 forward to another hunter. You can inflict terrible harm, you can suffer less harm, or you can force them where you want them.
I'm going to inflict terrible harm.
Okay, and how much harm does your psychic mojo do?
It is a 2 harm, close, obvious, ignore armor.
Okay. And what does that look like?
I kind of take the blood and well it up in the palm of my hand as it runs down my forearm, and then I throw a blood bolt, magic missile type deal.
Okay. Yeah. So I think what happens here is as you cut your arm and begin welling and shaping this blood using your magic, you see that the figure which is regarding Luther, it actually it doesn't move. It continues staring at him and getting ready to attack. But the bear actually turns towards you. And they separate, and so there are now two figures: the bear and this shape of a human, which is just like a pitch black, like it's almost like a void. And you fire off your blood bolt, striking the bear, and it seems like it really hurt it. It doesn't cry out; it's not making sound, but it slows for a moment before it barrels into you. and it wraps you in its claws, and you feel them sink into your back. You're going to take 3 harm.
Oh my god, that hurts.
And I think at this point we go to Jillian. You are laying on the ground. You have taken how much harm at this point?
At this point, I have taken 3 harm.
Okay. Yeah, you are hurting pretty bad. I think that at this point you're not quite unstable, but I think you're 1 harm away from it.
I am 1 harm away from it. That's okay. I plan to do something about that this round.
Okay.
Given that I'm pretty sure my dad can handle Ghost Dude for a round, I'm not so sure my boyfriend won't die because of the bear. So she's going to actually hop up behind the bear and shove her hands into its ethereal back, and I'm going to use the natural attack, Life Drain.
Interesting. So this sounds like another kick some ass. So go ahead and roll plus weird. And I will say that whenever you roll kick ass, you are going to take damage as well. So that is a 13.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
You can take 1 forward, give forward to another hunter, inflict terrible harm, suffer less harm, or force them where you want them.
I am doing inflict terrible harm because this base attack does life drain.
Okay. Yeah, so that is plus 1 harm.
I'm taking back what it took from me. So that's 2 harm.
Okay, 2 harm.
As my moons knit back together.
So you do you normally feed on?
Blood is her thing, but I am going because she felt it stealing her energy. She's giving into her vampiric nature a little bit and reversing the flow.
Okay. Now, when you vamp out like this, do you look different?
Her eyes go all black. Her fangs protrude. She gets sort of like this, not quite the ugly Buffy, somewhere in between the ugly Buffy vampire and
Like Dresden Files Red Court? Like with the mask on, black-eyed?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you definitely get this thing's attention. As soon as you're done, like, drawing its essence, it immediately turns on you, and it swipes, and it hits you actually in the head, and the claws dig into your face, leaving these terrible wounds, which actually then immediately close. You are taking 3 harm, but the pain of this thing essentially tearing your face off are having trouble holding on to consciousness. You almost black out from it. And when you do this, you see that the human man figure that is all dark, it immediately ignores Luther, and it runs back towards the bear, and the bear looks at it and it regards it. And as they meet again, you see that the blackness within the red begins to grow, almost like it's seeping, and then they wink out of existence and disappear. And as you are in this now quiet night, all kind of in this moment, out of breath and breathing hard, what do you guys do?
I'm probably actually, given how injured she is, she doesn't want to be this close to the people she gives a shit about, who are both humans. So I'm bouncing.
One of which is bleeding semi-profusely.
Yeah, humans, otherwise known as food.
Yeah. She looks at you. She stares at you, and you see her actively tear herself away and bolt off into the woods.
I'm going to try to administer some first aid to dear old Christopher.
Oh god, no, please save me. Someone, Mr. Doctor? Dr. Professor?
Yeah, that is a good question. Leopold, after the scene of the attack, what are you doing?
I am gonna head towards my team.
Okay, we can say, just in the interest of moving things along, as Jillian disappears into the woods, you arrive.
Well, looks like everyone's still alive. Where's Jillian?
She had to take some personal time.
Yeah,
Or-
so the first aid that he's administering to you, there honestly is no mechanic for it. It's just to prevent you from like bleeding out, which you're really not at risk for anyway. It's a thematic sort of patching. Um, he's a little rough around those wounds though.
Bandages, a bottle and a half of rubbing alcohol for
Oh, yeah.
disinfection.
Yeah, you just dump that straight on the wound.
Go with the iodine. It's much better.
So there is
Yeah.
actually it's not a move. You don't roll on it, but if you are administering first aid, Christopher, you will heal 1 harm.
Woohoo! I'm more okay than I was.
Oh, hey, there you go. I guess I did do something cool. Yeah, no, I'm going to administer that first aid, and I'm gonna be sorely cross, and I'll be like, "What happened?"
So I think I actually want to pause and go back in time here a second because Jillian brings up an excellent point. When faced with a perfect opportunity to feed, as she just had in kind of the high pressure situation, there's actually a move for this where Jillian needs to roll act under pressure in order to resist feeding. Thank you for pointing that out. So let me actually pull up your playbook here, as I want to see exactly what it says before everything is fine. I'm sure nothing will happen.
Sure, everything will be totally okay. I show up, and then she goes full monster.
So that's actually an interesting question. I know, Leopold, your history, Jillian attacked you before, and you apparently didn't.
You know.
How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about her being what she is?
Yeah, well, what she is and the fact that she attacked you, like, are you cool with it? Do you understand, or...
I'm willing to use the monster until it needs to be put down. It obviously still wants to do good, so I'm going to let it until it no longer can, and then I'll fix the problem.
Okay, I think that's an important distinction, and forgive me here, I'm... Okay, you must submit to living humans. It might take the form of blood, brains, or spiritual essence, but it must be from people. You need to act under pressure to resist feeding whenever a perfect opportunity presents itself. So yeah, it's just act under pressure, which is plus cool.
Hope you got a good cool
Okay,
rating.
good.
Okay, so that's a 10.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so you set out to do what you meant to do. So yeah, Jillian flees into the woods.
Goes and mutilates some deer.
I'm off to find me a different victim.
Okay.
Find me a victim I don't give a shit about.
Okay, excellent. So yeah, Christopher, you do heal 1 harm. The band is almost back together. Okay, so I think it's going to be interesting to talk about what happens with Jillian, but I want to know what are the rest of you doing in this moment?
I am answering Papa Chainsaw's questions. Like, what happened? Well, we were driving back, and there was a ghost bear in the middle of the street ripping a car to paper. So I called you.
And why just stop?
Well, the creature was attacking innocents. You can't really hold that against them, can you?
He offers Christopher a grin and pats his other shoulder that's not messed up. You done good, kid. Get in the truck.
Also, I hope that shoulder's not going to be a problem, because we're going to have some digging to do.
Digging? Why would it?
I would like to propose the idea that we should cut off the scene there and you focus on Jillian, because I think that's a really good point to cut the scene.
All right, that works for me. So,
Oh, just real quick, I just for expediency's sake, I will collect Jillian's motorcycle and put it in the back of the truck.
yeah, I think that's probably something you've done before. It's you've probably got tie downs and stuff like that.
Yeah, this is a regular thing. The jewel of my eye is going off to alleviate some stress.
So, Jillian, are you just blindly fleeing through the forest trying to seek out subsistence?
I am decently injured. I am starving because I haven't eaten yet today.
And that's a good question. Like, when you eat, do you like normally just go out and hunt, or do you have like some kind of alternate source?
I normally have to go out and hunt.
So
I mean, unless you want me to be feeding off of you, Pez.
Christopher would prefer that, just so that you didn't have to run the risk of going out and getting in trouble.
So she probably normally feeds off of you, but you were already injured. She doesn't trust herself to stop. If I can get by on feeding on animals, I will. If not, I hope that there is some dumb adventure-seeking hiker in these woods.
No, we scared all those off already, remember?
No, you scared off one group of them.
given the way the playbook lays it out, it does have to be human. So I don't think you can get away with chomping on rats or deer or whatever.
Yeah.
But I will say this: as you flee through the woods, it takes you a little time. Okay, so I think you follow the road for a little bit, and what you end up finding, you kind of instinctually feel the life force of people, of prey, nearby, and what you are led to is a camp. The other campground that was outlined when you first got into town. This is the Ochup National Forest campground. And inside of it, as you kind of draw near it, you see that there are 5 people that have set up camp. There are 2 college-age girls and 3 college-age boys. They're kind of in like almost like olive drab, like kind of just very simple plain clothes. And you can see that there's a Jeep, that there are a number of boxes and like coolers, and spray painted in them with a stencil is for the adventure is Colorado, because that's where it's set, but that's not where we are. We'll say Nature for Oregon, spray painted on these boxes and crates and coolers and so on. And what do you do?
I'm gonna wait for one of them to wander off to go piss.
Okay. So you see that there is a young woman. She stands up. She has her hair like pulled back into a braid, and she's wearing glasses. And she eventually stands up and separates from the rest of the group and wanders into the woods.
Gonna stalk her, gonna wait till she's as far from the group as she's going to go. Then I'm going to quietly take her down, and then once I am done feeding, I'm going to make it look like a fucking animal attack.
Oh, you're just straight up killing her.
Yeah, so I don't know whether this is an act under pressure or a kick some ass. For sure. I mean, so your attack does what? 3 harm, 2 harm?
My base teeth attack does 3 harm.
Okay.
3 harm.
I mean, most people in the world are going to have a similar kind of harm rating that you all do, so around 7 or so. So a typical just like bite and drain isn't going to like kill her, unless that is your intention.
Can I take the time to give myself the assistance to be able to take her down swiftly?
I think that is going to be an act under pressure.
All right.
Cool.
Nope.
That is a 6. Go ahead and mark experience. So I think what happens here is as she is peeing in the bush or whatever, you sneak up on her, and you succeed in biting and feeding her, but she screams bloody murder. And immediately you hear to the side, everyone in camp immediately stands up in alert and begins moving towards you. Go ahead and heal your harm, but what do you do?
Now that I am not hurt.
Run, bitch, run!
Yeah, but I can't leave her alive. If I leave her alive and she gets vampire bite.
I mean, how in control of yourself are you anyway?
At this point, I've fed. Is it weird to say I kind of want to... They don't have a good way to do this in the system. Ooh.
What are you trying to do?
She wants to commit some murder.
No, I'm trying to figure out how to cover up the fact that she was attacked by a fucking vampire.
Yeah, I mean, it is something where there are other people alerted and heading in your direction, so whatever you're going to do, you're going to have to do it quick.
I mean, are they close enough they've seen her?
I don't think that the group has seen her, but I think for sure because, the intention was to sneak up on her, and she saw you coming, she for sure has seen you.
I can make a suggestion.
Sure.
Because it kind of seems like vampires would have some innate magic to keep themselves covered up.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe a vampiric-based use magic roll to do one thing beyond... Oh, no, wait. I don't know. It doesn't specifically give you the ability to lock away a memory, but...
I think that you could try to do something like... do one thing that is beyond human limitations. That's kind of a catch-all. I think you could do that to maybe turn yourself invisible now and flee. I think if you are erasing someone's memory, that probably falls into big magic.
Yeah, I would think that if I were erasing somebody's memory, I would have had to take the mental domination.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Move. Sucks, but...
Turn yourself invisible and then run. What's she gonna do? Say that you attacked her? I don't know who the hell that is.
Run, bitch.
Or you could do the monstrous thing and snap her neck and leave.
Yeah, I'm gonna snap her neck, and I don't have time to cover the body is the problem. I could snap her neck and take her with me. Flee into the woods.
Okay, so you are attempting to kill her and then take the body with you. I think you are for sure strong enough to do all of that, but I think that you kind of realize that you fucked up a little bit here. So it is going to be an act under pressure.
All right.
I'm dating an actual monster.
You're dating an actual monster.
Yeah. And you do you sparkle is the real question. Okay, so no, getting back to the scene, that is a 7. So with a 7, that is the keeper is going to give you a worse outcome, hard choice, or price to pay. So I think that I'm going to give you a hard choice. I think you can kill her and bring her with you, as you intended, but someone else from the group is going to see you, or you can get away without killing her.
That is a hard choice. Wow.
Dice have not been my friend tonight. I think it makes for a better story if I take her with me and somebody saw me.
Okay, then that is exactly what happens. You, hearing the people crashing through the woods, you quickly snap her neck. Probably not the first time you've done that, I imagine. And sling her over your shoulder and begin crashing through the brush. But as you're doing this and stepping away, you see one of the young men. He's got really long, bushy hair, definitely going for that hippie vibe. As you break the neck, you lock eyes before you disappear.
Her solid black eyes.
Yeah, but you manage to successfully escape. Where are you headed now?
Deeper into the woods. The plan is from here to dump the body somewhere in the woods, make it look like it was an animal attack.
Mm-hmm.
And who's gonna believe the crazy druggies who are living in the woods?
Find another bear, put a red wig on it. Bam! Alibi.
And people are getting attacked in these woods. There is a crazy bear attacking people in these woods. They were stupid for camping out here. They were probably on something.
You can't trust a word they say.
Exactly.
All right. Yeah, I like that. I don't think you have to make any additional rolls here. I think you push into the woods to the south, and in short order manage to dump the body. And you're a monster. You can make it look like a bear attack easily enough. Yeah, I think you get messy in the process, but you are able to accomplish it. During all this time, what has the rest of you been doing?
My guess is we go back to the camp, because we know that's our rendezvous point.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I'm going to take them back to camp and let Think Tank do their thinking.
And I'm going to explain that we need to find the body of this ghost bear and whatever man seems to have climbed into it and burned them after salting them to destroy the ghost forever. Otherwise, it's going to come back.
Hey, didn't they have that one fella what was like tied to it?
It's probably both of them. They're probably bound together for eternity in life as they were in death, or the other way around, obviously.
Camp is on a lake. I'm gonna go for a swim in the lake and wash myself off before I go back to Dad.
Yeah. I think we can meet all back together. Jillian walks into camp as you are all having this discussion, soaking wet.
Her hair is wet. Her clothes are wet.
You okay, honey?
It's fine. I just needed to cool off.
Oh, okay. He goes and gets her a towel. For the record, Chris, if she does anything suspicious, I'm not looking into it.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually really good to know. Because, man, that's suspicious.
Yeah, that's sus as fuck, and I'm paying attention.
But she did. She doesn't have any more injuries, and she's soaking wet. That's sus as fuck.
See,
under
the
no
thing is, I
circumstances-
never saw how injured you were. You left right as I was appearing, so...
Yeah, under no circumstances am I questioning my daughter and the nefarious activities that she gets up to when she goes stress relieving.
I'm going to scooch over and pat the spot next to me on the log in front of the fire.
I'm gonna sit next to him with the towel that my dad got me around my shoulders, drying off my hair next to the fire.
Luther passes around some tiny sticks with some marshmallows.
Is everyone okay?
Oh yeah, honey, I'm fine. You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Well, Christopher here's been through a right ringer of a time, ain't you, boy?
Other people have had it worse.
She starts frantically looking you up and down. Are you okay?
I'm okay-ish.
Hey, misery ain't a race, boy. It's okay.
I did get run over by a ghost bear.
Yeah, that thing hit like a Mack truck.
All right, you're allowed to say I'm a little sore. Ain't nothing wrong with saying that hurt.
In any case, as I was saying, we need to find where it was buried, dig it up, salt the body, and then light it on fire. Put the spirit to rest.
Alright, well, what do we know about a bear-man combo?
Well, we were doing a bit of research, and we found a legend of an old creature in this town, a bear that was part of one of the circuses in the early days. It seems it went crazy and killed its handler, so they tied it to a criminal and made them fight to the death. And then they buried its body in the woods.
Well, there might be a court record.
They made a bear and a criminal Alaskan knife fight.
Exactly, yes.
I love that you just called it an Alaskan knife fight.
Though back home, we call it a Liverpool knife fight.
Well, I done call it plain stupid.
Yeah.
Wouldn't the bear win?
I believe that's the intent.
Well, it was also very sick and very injured already. I'm reasonably certain they killed each other, or the bear killed him and died from its own wounds shortly after.
And then they buried it in an unmarked grave in the middle of the woods?
Indeed.
Well, I mean, it's a bear and a criminal. I'm sure they didn't think much of it.
I mean, I'm using all of my psychic power here, but is possibly in an area where a new casino's being built.
Oh.
Seems as good as any place to take a look.
You're so smart.
Horizon Lodge, I believe. I'm curious if it's a Masonic style lodge or a hunting style lodge. We didn't have quite enough time to figure out which.
I think from the billboard you saw, and there was probably posters and things like that in Town Hall. It looks to be more like a resort, like hotel.
Okay.
Like Great Wolf Lodge.
Yeah,
Okay.
something like that.
I'm going to continue calling it a casino.
Okay.
Leopold's going to have not paid attention to any of those little details because why would he? They're American and stupid and he hates them.
And they're not written in the book, so it's not important.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, maybe in the morning you all could go and check some stuff out.
Indeed.
Okay, do we have fire making and salt in the truck?
I got a can of gasoline and some salt.
I have preparedness.
I mean, unless we want to go try to check it out tonight. What time is it? She looks up the stars. Hey, how late is it? How long has it been?
So you guys have done a fair amount. It's probably pretty late. Maybe not by your standards, Jillian. I'd say you're getting close to midnight. Probably not right on. The moon is out and high in the sky. It's not quite full, but it's nearly there. So it's still pretty light out. But for sure it is late for normal people.
So, to clarify, it's close to midnight and there's something evil lurking in the dark?
That is an apt description.
And isn't there like a ridiculously clear full moon happening that some goth kids told you about?
I'm sorry. I was just getting the Thriller reference in.
Oh, on the side, Chris, when I say that I have say I have a can of gasoline and some salt, what I mean is that like I have a spare like couple gallons of gasoline in case my car breaks down and table salt.
Okay. Yeah. I mean that
Hey,
is
it works.
Sodium, bruh.
yeah, it is salt and fuel. It should suffice.
Yeah, I wanted to make that clear because while my my hunting specialty is against vampires, which fire works on vampires, fire apply it to everything. I don't hunt ghosts, so I don't have like blessed salt. I just have fucking table salt.
I think that Leopold would probably know that it doesn't have to be like sanctified or anything like that. It's
Yeah, it doesn't have to be sea salt gathered under a full moon or anything.
It's just salt.
Oh, well in hell, I got gas and salt for days.
Salt has long been known for its purative properties. Purative? That's not the right word.
I just
Purifying.
I usually just pour it in some poor sap's eyes when he ain't telling me what I want.
Or even if you have rock salt to get ice off of the road, that would work too.
Oh, all right.
Do we have shovels? Because you said we're going to have to dig.
that is a question for you, not for me.
I'm gonna roll me some sharp because I came prepared.
Okay.
Nope.
Or did you?
Yeah, there are shovels, but they're not here. I don't know that I can come up with something particularly bad that you would have like a favorite shovel or something, but they're not at hand.
Oh wait, this is something unusual or rare. Never mind.
Oh, yeah.
I shouldn't even have made that roll.
I
We
mean,
probably have at least one spade in the truck.
yeah, I'm a
This way we don't get. Maybe no, we might
You're-
have two.
You're a professional woodsman.
No.
I'm a professional woodsman, so it's not on my gear list, but I didn't have an opportunity to like denote random stuff in the truck.
Well, I think it says in the book that if it's like mundane shit that could easily be gotten, you
Mhm.
can easily get it.
Yeah, I don't think we need to belabor the point. I think the fact that Luther is a freaking lumberjack, I think it's justifiable to say that you have a shovel. And if you don't, I don't think we need to like have you go to Buymart or whatever and buy one. I think you can procure whatever number of shovels you want.
So, I guess it's going to be investigate the mystery to try to figure out where the actual gravesite is in the woods.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, you have kind of hit on it, that it's, with the recent construction, that is the most likely source. I think you all kind of gather that is the most logical conclusion, and the best place to start. I don't think you need to. I'm not going to make you roll for it.
Cool.
Well, all right. Do you want to head out there tonight, or are we licking our wounds and doing this tomorrow?
I think better sooner rather than later, right? Sooner we get this done, the sooner we get out of this town.
He looks over at Christopher.
Who's still a bit beat up.
I'm not quite dead yet.
Well, why don't you stay in the back of the group and, try not to get hit.
Yes, dear.
Or you can keep an eye on the camp. I think it's probably better if we get this done and move out as soon as possible, though. I mean, I did run my motorcycle into it on a main street.
That is a good point. Last thing we need is to be around when people start questioning things.
All right, let's go to the lodge.
Okay. So, how are you getting there? Are you all piling in the truck, or how's this happening?
Pile in the truck.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Okay. You're leaving the motorcycle in the back?
Yeah, I'm leaving it in the back with the others.
Yeah, for now it's just gonna go there.
Okay. So you all pile in the truck and once again start heading through town. You pass the scene where the attack occurred earlier. You can see that the figure you saw at the initial sign of the murder of the two hikers, he's there, the older sheriff-looking fellow. There's definitely like tape across the scene, and he's conducting interviews, but you're not like stopped or slowed down or anything as you go by.
That's good.
You manage to head out to the outskirts of town. You once again pass the ranger station, and you eventually find yourself on a dirt road, almost like a logging road that leads into the woods. And you can tell just by the condition of road that there's probably been heavy machinery carried through it. It's all chewed up, especially in the recent rains that came through here. And before too long, you find yourself at a construction site. There's a large swath of the woods, kind of deep, like in the heights of the forest, that have been cleared out. You can see that a fair amount of work has been done, not only clearing the area, but there are sections where there's actually concrete already been poured to form the foundation. It's almost like they've been working on it in stages. And as you are approaching this scene, you see there's actually a couple of cars that are parked nearby. And you see standing next to them is the woman that Leopold and Luther saw at the museum. The woman who you know is the mayor. I don't think you caught her name. And she is speaking to another woman who's probably in her 30s. You haven't seen her yet. She's definitely short. She has longer black hair. She's wearing a very neat and pressed uniform. It is green, and you can see on her breast there is a lapel for the Forest Service. And they appear to be having a heated discussion. But as you draw up in the pickup, they both stop talking and turn to you. The mayor is a little red-faced, but she kind of watches you all approach quizzically. What do you guys do?
Why are the people in this town up so late?
Oh, why don't I approach and I hope somebody social comes with me.
Chris, you should go help my dad. He's gonna bomb this. No offense, Dad.
Okay.
None taken, honey.
I'm going to try and help the big burly man.
I'm gonna offer a big pawed wave, like, hey.
Yeah. So as Luther and Chris, you pile out of the truck and walk up to these two figures waving. The mayor looks at you and she says, "I'm sorry. This is a private area. I'm going to have to ask you guys to clear out. What are you all even doing here this late?"
Well, ma'am, to be frank with you, I came from out of town when I heard about your bear attack, and as an expert and skilled hunter myself, I was going to take a look into it, and its tracks done led me up here.
You're a hunter, are you? That's...
Yes, ma'am.
And she kind of crosses her arms. Well, I was thinking about rounding up the posse, but if you're a hunter by trade, and at this point, the other woman kind of cuts in. She says, "Look, we're not cutting any licenses to hunt bears. I don't know who you are, but this is my responsibility."
Gonna just hop out of the truck at this point.
Well, I done know that it's your responsibility, little lady, and I ain't telling you that you can't handle it yourself. But I already got me my hunting license, and I'll be happy to help take care of the situation. If you take care of it first, no harm, no foul. Just here to help.
Can I see that license? You carrying that?
Yes, ma'am. He'll hand it over.
Do you have a permit to hunt bear?
There's bear permits.
I think one of the things that definitely keyed all of you off is that bears are not native to this region and they haven't been seen for 20 years. So I think if you have a bear hunting permit, it's probably not from this county.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely from out of state.
Okay.
I'm a dumb redneck.
She takes it from you and pulls out a flashlight and shines it and kind of concentrates reading
You know
it.
what this seems like? This seems like the perfect opportunity for me to sneak around everybody and get the salt and gas into this fucking facility.
Sure. Yeah, I think you can unload the gas and stuff from the back of the truck. If you're trying to sneak by them, I'm afraid this is going to be an act under pressure.
And my daughter gets it. I'm a big old distraction.
You are a big old distraction, and I'm going to give this a try and hope that I don't fail again.
And I think if you want, either Christopher or Luther, you can roll plus cool to help out. That's optional. I mean, obviously that can go wrong. It's up to you, though. I think the situation warrants it.
Do it.
I will help.
Can you make me a somebody else's problem field?
Potentially, maybe.
Is that a thing you can do as a psychic?
I can make noises and suggestions in their head and potentially distract them enough.
Minimize my impact?
Yeah, I think you could even just, if you're aware of what she's doing, and I think you probably are, you can even just suggest that they not notice her.
I like that idea.
I love that idea.
They have much more important things to deal with right now,
They have to
obviously.
deal with this gentleman in front of them.
Yeah, the giant of a man with a
This
bad
redneck
hunting
who wants to
license.
shoot things in their jurisdiction.
So would that be a charm for the manipulate or a cool to help out?
I think because it is specifically help out, it would be plus cool.
Okay. Dazang.
All right.
Okay, that is 11. So that is a 10 plus. You will give Jillian +1 forward. So Jillian, go ahead and roll plus cool as well.
Oh my gosh, really?
So that is an 8 plus 1 is a 9. So I will give you a worse outcome, a hard choice, or a price to pay.
All right, name them off. Oh, Jillian.
You failed.
You are the perfect predator.
Just barely.
Okay, so I think I'm going to give you a worse outcome. I think you can get by them without much issue, but once you actually get into the site and start rooting around, you're going to draw the attention of the park ranger. That will be your worst outcome. So as she's kind of scrutinizing this paperwork, she hears, I don't know, you step on a twig or kick over a bucket.
Her, kicks up like, son of a bitch!
Yeah, she jerks her head up and she kind of shoves the paperwork towards the bear. And I'm going to give these people names because I keep referring to them as people because that's normally a thing that happens in conversation. So the mayor is named Rosa Roswell, and you can see that the forest ranger, she actually has a name badge that has a reason. We can write that into fiction. Her name is Frida Davidson. Frida, her head jerks up and she kind of shoves the paperwork towards the mayor and she says, take care of this. And she begins moving towards the campsite, or not the campsite, the construction site. So Jillian, you kick over a bucket as you kind of, you are in the middle of the site, and I think maybe there's like a fabricated wall or a frame or something, so you're not in immediate view. So Leopold, you've been sitting in the truck. What are you doing? You see this park ranger take off.
Read a bad situation doesn't seem like it would be a good fit for trying to spot where the most likely place that something would have been disturbed would be.
That would probably be
investigate the mystery, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
So I'm going to try to do a little bit of investigation while all this is going on.
Okay, so are you doing that from the truck? How are you going about doing this?
Well, she did just take off after me.
And it's been very distracting. You know what? I'm going to use magic.
Okay.
I'm going to try to use magic to open up my third eye and peer around mystically and look for all the gatherings of power in the area.
Nerd!
Sure. Yeah, I think that definitely is applicable. Go ahead and roll plus weird.
Nerd.
So that is a 12. So you that on a 10 plus, it works without issues. And it sounds like you are trying to basically do your remote viewing trick you did earlier.
Yeah, observe another place or time.
Yeah, so I think you get a little bit of both as you kind of open your third eye and take in your surroundings. What you notice is that there is a section of the construction site which appears to be new, like they just broke ground. And through this kind of mystical vision, you get glimpses of a time in the past, and you see there's a kind of a rough and tumble man, not really unlike Luther, really, who is covered in sweat and breathing hard, and he's got like dirt smeared over his face, and he's standing over a pit, and he's looking down in it, and you can see there is the corpse of a very large brown bear, much like the pictures you saw. This is in fact the grave of Bojo, and as your vision kind of fades out, you see he kind of settles, does a little bit of a stretch, and begins digging or filling the grave back in. So you know that the grave of Bojo is in fact over to your left, probably in the direction Jillian went. I think that makes the most sense narratively.
Yeah, sounds good to me. All right.
What about Christopher and Luther? I'll say you're aware that Jillian was sneaking off, and you definitely heard her cuss. What are you guys doing? The mayor in front of you, Rosa, she seems thoroughly confused.
Mayor, if you could just approve these, I'll get on the bear hunt and I'll go tell Ranger what's her teeth to get out your way.
Yeah, look. Between you and me, Ranger Davidson, she does a fantastic job, but there are a lot of people who have money tied up in this project, and this whole murder thing, it's not the kind of attention we want to draw for a growing town, and Willow's Cove is growing. So if you can take care of this, we can make whatever paperwork we need to be done.
Between you and me, Hero Mayor has bear removed from project saves hundreds is a great title. Killer Bear. Thank you, Christopher.
I like the way you guys think. Yeah, definitely.
I like the cut of your jib.
Yeah, this is a problem I need solved, and if you can take care of this, I don't see something as piddly as a permit getting in the way.
Christopher, you read minds, yes?
I was about to say that I am going to peer into her mind. So yes, I do
She's
read
not
minds.
suspicious as hell.
Right?
Remember, Widow's Cove is always growing.
So is from your playbook, is that something that you have to roll for, or can you just do it?
It allows me to read their thoughts and put words in their mind. Allows you to investigate a mystery and read a bad situation without actually needing to talk.
Okay. So I don't think investigate a mystery is applicable. But I think that I don't know, maybe.
Well, read a bad situation gives you some questions you can ask. That might be applicable.
Let's see, what are the questions? What's my best way in or out? Are there any dangers we haven't noticed? What's the biggest threat? What's the most vulnerable to me? What's the best way to protect the victims?
If you're suspicious of her, is there a danger I haven't noticed? It makes a lot of sense, actually.
That's actually, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think that's applicable. Go ahead and roll plus sharp.
Stupid. There we go. Yay!
That is a 9. You can hold 1, so you can ask 1 question.
Are there any dangers we haven't noticed?
Okay, so I'd say using your innate psychic powers, you peer into her mind. She is 100% being legit about she wants this problem to go away. She will do whatever she can to make it disappear. She's being level with you.
Oh, that's good.
As far as are there any dangers we haven't noticed, I'd say that as you are kind of rooting around in her mind, I think you are kind of open to the psychic energies that are out there, and you do sense that malevolent force that you felt is not close, but it is coming closer.
Oh, you're running out of time.
Bojo's inbound.
The ghost is reforming as we speak.
I actually, I turn and I poke Mr. Hunterman in the shoulder. Like, Bojo's coming.
He looks over at the mayor. Hey, you wanna make this real easy on us and just get your ranger friend and have this discussion back in your office?
She looks at you and she says, "Should I be alarmed? I mean, I can go collect Frida, but
there's a bear and I smell it."
She gives you a look. You can smell the bear.
Uh-huh.
You know
he
what?
Gives her a knowing wink.
I'm not going to ask. You're taking care of this. This is what I want. She heads over where Frida is. Frida is near that kind of low wall where Jillian is kind of in the process of just kicking a bucket. Jillian, you hear footsteps coming your direction. What do you do?
What's around me?
There's like the earth itself is dug up probably like 2 feet deep as they are getting ready to lay a foundation. But there's also like, we'll say it's like a retaining wall that kind of sticks up out of the ground where it's like especially kind of sloppy and muddy. So you've got like a wall which is probably just like chest high that you're stooped under, having just kicked the bucket. And then there's kind of the pit near you that you're standing in now.
All right, there is not very many places for me to hide.
Stay perfectly still. Their vision is based on movement.
Turn into mist.
Park Rangers.
I wish I could turn into mist. Is that something I can do? That has to be a special power all on its own, right?
I mean, we could say it falls into use magic. That makes sense, right? You're a vampire. You got vampire magic.
All right, I'll give it a try. What is that, weird?
Yeah, go ahead and roll plus weird.
Use your magic.
And we'll say it falls under, goes beyond human limitations.
You're really good at turning into mist.
13. Yeah. So with a 10 plus, the magic works without issues. You guys have been really good at magic.
Just magic, nothing else.
Yeah, so you dissipate and into like this kind of mist, and I think with when Frida rounds the corner with her flashlight in hand, she kind of shines it around the scene, and she sees that the bucket you kicked is kind of laying on its side, and she looks around, but then moves on. She has no reason to suspect the mist.
What was that? The mist.
And so I think not long after Mayor Rosa comes up and calls out to Frida and says, "Hey, Frida, come on, let's go." And Frida kind of turns to her and puts her arms on her waist. She says, "You just want to leave these people? Look, Mayor, I understand that you got a lot of money tied up here, but I am a federal worker. I'm not under your jurisdiction." Are any of you interjecting here?
Actually, she is under your jurisdiction. If she's a state park worker.
Is that mist talking? I mean, what?
Damn the whispering mist.
Hey, someone who isn't the big lug could intervene in some fashion.
Sorry, I'm busy making magic happen and having psychic visions.
Yo, telepath.
I'm
make the
missed. I'm just
juju.
gonna go and look for the fucking grave.
Yeah, I think Jillian, as you're standing in this pit, you would see that there is a suspicious sink, not like a sinkhole, but there is like a suspicious deviation in the ground. You can tell where the body is.
Oh, then at this point, I'm going to think really loudly, "Found it!" and hope that my psychic boyfriend is listening.
Just gonna think that as hard as you can.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Christopher, I think it's up to you. You know how your powers work. Do you hear that? Are you that in tune with Jillian?
Yes.
Yay!
But over that distance, no one else. She has a lot of my essence inside of her.
Gross.
Gross.
I'm
but
going to put a lot of my
that makes
chainsaw
sense.
inside of you.
Love it. If the sheriff or ranger, or whoever the hell she is still having trouble leaving, I'm going to give her a telepathic suggestion to just go home and go to bed.
Okay. Yeah, I
Deal with
think
this
they're
in the
kind
morning.
they're still standing there bickering. The Frida, the forest ranger, she really doesn't want to leave, especially with you all there. And Mayor Rosa is definitely pulling to just get out of your hair and go. Christopher, you can feel that presence growing closer. It's probably not far off at this point. But if you want to try to use your mojo, by all means, go ahead and roll manipulate someone. And we'll say, what are you specifically saying as...
I am telling Frida that it's too late, it's too much trouble. She should just go home and go to bed.
Okay, so the reason is it's too much trouble, and what you want them to do is go home. Okay, go ahead and roll plus charm, unless it's weird for your weirdness.
It's still charm.
Okay.
And whatcha?
Good
Dang.
luck. Aw.
Terrible.
That is a 9. They'll do it, but only if you do something from the right now to show you mean it. If you ask too much, they'll tell you what, if anything, it would take for them to do it. I think as you are implanting this thought in her mind, you can sense that she is pretty stubborn, and the only way she's going to be leaving now is if you all go with her.
Oh, god damn it. Almost worked.
I'm giving it to the count of 10, then I'm gonna start digging.
I pull my large hunter friend to the side and tell him, like, look, Ranger's not going to leave as long as we're here. Can't get rid of her, and Bojo is, like, across the street and running.
Yeah, if those two stay, they're gonna die.
Exactly. So we have to leave if we want them to leave.
I ain't leaving Jules here. You... All right. Keep them busy. I'm getting my gun.
So as you, Luther, you go to your truck and you start pulling out a gun. Jillian, what is it you said you're doing at the count of 10?
Oh, I'm gonna reform in the hole and start digging.
Okay. I think what happens is as things start to come to a head here, Luther, you go for your gun. Christopher, you're kind of still pushing at Frida's mind. And Leopold, you are confirming the location of this creature. Jillian, you pop out of mist form and shove your...
We don't have time for this.
Yeah, you drive your shovel into the dirt, and as soon as you fling out one shovelful of dirt, as it hits the ground, you see the air above the grave begins to get a tinge of red as Bojo and Frank begin to reform.